Folks, welcome back to Positive Mischief. I'm your host, Matt Guastafaro, and I'm also the Chief Mischief Maker at Hugo Creative. And today we have Danya Levine. She is the production director at Adult Swim. Hi, Danya. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you? Happy Tuesday.
Yeah, right. It's getting outside weather time. So, of course, we're going to be inside doing this interview. Hey, what the heck? One of these days, I'm going to have a couple of these that are in person. I'm really looking forward to that. So
that'll be fun.
One of the questions I like to start with is about your job. And this is really the only time we're going to talk about your day job. So use it for all it's worth. Adult Swim, are you listening? She's going to plug you guys right now. So your job, how would you explain that to my daughter's 6? So we'll go with that. How would you explain it to a 6-year-old?
Oof, that's a tough one. Because I usually tell people I'm sort of like a den mom. I hand out allowances for people to go and do the things that they want to do all day. So, or, hand them treats when they make good time on things. So, I guess, that would be a good way to do it is I'm the den mom. I come in and I help them make their crafts so that they look good and they look pretty, and I give them the tools they need to make those crafts and have a good time with it.
What's one of the biggest, maybe most reoccurring challenges you have in that role?
Hitting deadlines, making other people hit deadlines. Notice how fast that came out.
Making other people hit the deadlines. Yeah.
Making other people hit the deadlines. I have a sign in my office that says, I love the sound of deadlines as they go wishing by.
In a weird way, it's like getting a 6-year-old to clean their bedroom. So
exactly. Yeah. It's like, come on now. We need to get this script by the end of the week.
Yes, it is Tuesday. It's going to be Friday really soon. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. I think you would understand that analogy. So that's a good one.
Yep.
So as we said, the title of the show is Positive Mischief. For us at Hugo, that's a really important part. Essentially, it's play. It's a positive play. I know that sounds a little hokey, but we like to be mischievous, but not dangerously. We want to be able to impact how we're doing in a positive manner, whether it's the people that work here, whether it's the people we're working with. We want everybody to leave feeling excited about what they're encountering when being with us, but also in a playful, like, I'm going to get you on your toes kind of thing.
Well, that's Adult Swim. I mean,
exactly.
Adult Swim has always been uniquely Adult Swim. What we do for a living, even if you tell people I make cartoons for a living, that doesn't quite cut it, because that's not just what Adult Swim does. It's a very particular kind of cartoon and humor. And it does keep you on your toes, and it makes you laugh. I mean, there's always, the best thing about coming to work there is there's always a reason to laugh, even on your worst day where things are on fire and people are running around. There's always a joke or a script or something or an animatic you're looking at that's just going to make you crack up. And that makes it worth it.
And there you go. That pretty much leads into was my question. It's like, how does that, we call it mischief for good, like, how does that shape your day job,
It shapes a lot of my day job because it is like mischief for good. It's all encompassing in, we want to make people laugh. We want people to have a good time. The thing about Adult Swim is, we love our audience and how they relate to us. We have that weird, deep relationship with them. And we know it, and we have to remain true to it. So we remain true to ourselves and come to work as our true selves to put that message out there. Yeah. You have to be authentic in that. There's no faking that. And it's almost like, I like to think of Adult Swim as this little unique artist collective of different types of people who just come together for this one common cause. And it is to kind of create a little bit of chaos and a little bit of mischief, but to have a great time doing it. And that's kind of how we treat our work.
I like that. So we'll throw this one out there real early for you. What's your thought on using cartoons for adult content?
It's so funny because I mean, when I was growing up, I grew up watching things like heavy metal and, these interesting collectives that happened back in the day. And then it went away for a little while and nobody really talked about it. And now it's back in a big, big way. And Adult Swim has been doing it forever. And while I understand the conflict that some people might have with, making a cartoon for an adult, it's really about storytelling. I mean, it's really how you're telling the story and how authentically you're telling the story, really. Life deals with adult content. So right. Why wouldn't a cartoon, if you wanted it to, deal with an adult content? I love, I won't lie. I sit there and I watch children's cartoons all the time. Adventure Time, SpongeBob, Fairly Odd Parents. There's a ton of them that I love just to sit there and have fun and laugh.
Yeah.
But I think the difference in what we do is we're making people laugh, but we're also making people think about what they're laughing about. And then we're also kind of, being a little bit explicit in how we make them laugh. That's really the only difference. And I think adults need that sometimes. I think it's that sense of fun that we never lose when we're out there. And it feeds into that aspect of kind of never quite growing up. Like, we're grown up, we do what we have to do, but I still watch cartoons and eat cereal on Saturday mornings.
I love cereal. That's it in a way for us. It's as we get older, we take up responsibilities. There's this sense of when we can be too serious with life. And I think that trying to be young, I think is an important part of getting older. And what does that look like? And that's different for everybody. Some people still maintain that in a certain seriousness. Some people become very lighthearted, almost to the point where you can't take them serious at all.
Right.
But it's finding that balance in life. And really it's your own personal brand of what does mischief look like for you, So that's kind of
it's what does mischief look like to you? What does aging look like to you? I mean, because let's face it, as you get older, you do get wiser. We know that now. You do get wiser. So there's some things in your mind, all right, I'm not going to do that anymore. I made the mistake of going down the Rick and Morty slide. That's like a 5-story slide that we have at the Adult Swim Festival. And I was like, okay, did it once, not having to do that ever again. So, you learn those lessons. But it's also about understanding, the next generation coming in, especially in the workplace. It's important. Yeah. You have younger people entering the workplace who want to do what we do for a living. And how do you train and mentor someone if you can't identify with them or if you can't appreciate them for who they are? You kind of have to know yourself and know the world around you and be conscious of how you treat others. And I think that's part of the aging process, but that has a lot to do with, staying young, staying hip, staying current, and being involved in what's happening in the creative world on an ongoing basis as well.
Yeah, that's a big one for us, is figuring out how to stay engaged with what's coming up creatively. Artists, designers, trends,
right?
They change all the time. And you have to be up on that. You have to be able to do that, to create the next thing. Because your clients, your friends, your family, like they're all going to be interested in what's happening on some level. And especially when you do it for real, for a business, like you have to know that stuff.
Diversity is important too. You want different people on your team that'll have, different things to bring to the table. You don't, earlier we were talking about being in a vacuum, being in a bubble. You don't want to be in a bubble or a vacuum when you're creating something that's meant to be, entertainment.
Yeah.
You want to make sure you're covering your various angles and that you have different points of view on the screen for people to relate to. That's how people relate to entertainment, is seeing themselves in it or relating to something a character does or feeling that a character does. So you really need to keep it diverse, stay on top of it, and follow trends, and be a little lighthearted in looking at different things and taking in information. But stay true to yourself as much as you possibly can also.
Yeah. And therein sometimes lies an very interesting challenge, So, yeah. So that leads us into something that it's a game we have here. We got our court jester from New Orleans. And if you've been to New Orleans, you might have experienced this guy firsthand.
Sadly, yes. Talking about learning from our mistakes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you get it.